Reeves. I've been doing woodworking for about 5 years and always looking for something different for a challenge. So this is what this is. Anyway, I want to kind of go through some of the steps to get to that. The first thing to do is to draw it out. And you can get on the internet and you get under bricklayer, and it gives you you can print these off. And what it is, it's look like brick. And basically that's what you're doing here. And I'll pass this around. This is on this piece. And then also you've got to, there's 39 rows for this piece, and I think I got an 1/8 of an inch bigger every row. So you've got to figure out what size pieces you got to put in there. And the way you do that is basically figure if it's going to be solid, and then you take 1/3 off of it. So like if it's a 3/4 inch piece of wood, then you would take 1/4 inch off and be a 1/4 inch gap is how it is. And then you got to also figure out what colors per row to keep track of. You know, I always have this in front of me when I'm putting it together, and but it's real bad if you put a black one here and it's supposed to be white. If you're about 2 rows above it. I've never done that yet, but I probably will. Anyway, I'll pass this around, and this shows how I draw it out first, and then also you can look through there and see how I figured what size pieces you have to have per row. To cut them, I built these, and what these, it's just a sled, and this is for 12 segments. And on 12 segments, you need to cut a 10-degree angle, which is not as much of an angle as if you was going to be a full circle. But I think the reason they do that is when you're gluing on top, the next row on top, it gives you more surface to glue to. Also, what I do is I'll instead of cutting 1 piece at a time, I cut 8 pieces at a time, or 4 pieces at a time. These are 1/4 inch pieces. That's what this piece was made from. This piece here is 1/8 inch pieces, and I cut 8 at a time. And I've got a miter saw set up at home where I can move a stop so much, and then recut for the next piece. Also, it's a good idea when you're cutting a bunch of rows out to put them in bags. And you mark, this is number, I'm gonna put 2 rows on tonight, and hope you don't go to sleep. Number 1 row is 4.5 inches, and then number 2 row is 5. So most of the time I jump 1/4 of an inch, at a time. So, no, that'd be 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch at a time, which makes it 1/4 inch bigger. Okay. We've got a book in our library that's not here tonight for some reason, and it's open segment turning, is what it is. It's got these in the back of it. This is 16. I got 12. It goes 12, 16, 20, and a 24, I believe. Yeah. So I just made copies of it, and then took it into work and had them blowed up. And then I took Lexan, and I take spray glue and put on there, and then put these on there, and then I cut the 3/4 hole out in the middle, and then of course I use a bandsaw. And then also what I do, once I get these all done, I'll put packing tape over that, and that protects that paper. So it's got 2-inch packing tape on top of it. It's a little more durable. The only glue I use for this is Titebond translucent. One good thing about this, it dries pretty quick. You can put a piece on, and Oh, you can put like 5 more pieces on and you can't get the first one off. It dries really quick, it's really strong, and it dries clear. Something else you need to get is a pallet knife, and I'll show you in a little bit how critical this is for putting glue on. Got another. I brought some others. This is a zigzag, or no, it's not. It's swirl. That I draw that for this bowl. This pattern is this bowl, and that pattern is this bowl. And when I done this, I was just making zigzag. Well, when I got done, it looks like a flower. Of course, there's a hummingbird in the middle of it, which worked out pretty good. Also, I'm going to turn. This has not been turned yet, and I'll pass this around. This is what it looks like before you turn it. One trick to that is turn it real fast and don't get a catch. It makes a mess. Matter of fact, I blew up about 800 pieces before, I about give up on this piece, but I blew up about 800 pieces before I figured out how to do it. So I got back on YouTube, and Tom Lohman is the gentleman that is very good, and I suggest if you think about starting to do this, to get on his on YouTube. And then also Dennis Edwards is also another guy. He's the guy that makes these. Or I made this off of his jig, and then I made this, and I'll show you a little later, off of Tom Lohman's website. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple rows on, and if anybody needs to go to the bathroom, it's a good time to do it, because this is like watching grass grow.
Watching glue dry?
Watching glue dry, yeah.
Now, on the bottom of this bowl here, you already did the bottom and the top.
I've already done the top and bottom, yeah.
And
Yeah.
how'd you do the inlays? You just cut that in to the...
What's that now?
How'd you do the inlay on the bottom of the bowl?
Oh, a laser.
Laser?
I've got a real good friend. I got a guy that does my laser work, and all these are lasered. Then I fill them with turquoise and super glue. Anyway, I was telling about, I was wanting to make another jig that I could put more pieces per row. And I kind of explained to him, how it needed to be, and he said, I think I can do that. Well, anyway, he made me a wheel. I could put, the outside has got 144 holes, which will make 72 segments. The second row has got 120 holes, which would be 60 segments, and 96 holes, which would be half of that, so what, 48. And the next one's 64, which would be 32. So anyway, the biggest wheel he can make is 15 inches. Well, Tom Lohman's got one now that's 24 inches in diameter, and it's got 244 holes on the outside, 288 holes. So he can do 144 pieces per row. My wife said I'm not going to do that. You watch. So anyway.
Did he laser cut that wheel too then?
What's that?
Did he laser cut that?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, a laser is unbelievable how they work. He wanted to know what size holes. I had to have a 3/4 in the middle. And you want to know what size holes that I have to cut for and what you do, you turn this and you put a pin in it that holds it good and straight. And I thought, well, we couldn't put a 1/4 inch hole, because if we did, we would run out of material between the holes. So I said, how about 3/16? See, I cut it. Anyway, he cut 3/16. These are 3/16 hole, and they're exact. I mean, it's just, and the laser cut it, and they drop out. I mean, it's just pretty cool. Okay, what this does, it's got long holes, or long lines and short lines. So the first row, I'm going to use the long lines. It doesn't really make any difference. Okay, what this arm does is tells you, you put the glue on the bottom, and of course the first row I put it right in the middle. And then this piece here is my stop. So and this piece here is exactly in the center. So I measure from this piece to here. This is a 4.5 inch circle, my first row. So you measure 2 1/4, of course half of it, and set your stop. And then what you do, you got the first piece on, you go to the next long row, or long line. And what I usually do is hold it down for like 5 or 6 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and it kind of sets the glue.
I forgot which number was what.
Putting a little more glue on it. Okay, now, something else I do. You need pipe cleaner. You need pipe cleaners. And what that does is you go on both sides of that, and it takes off the squeeze out. So that piece there I done 4,800 times.
You coat the entire surface with glue?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But one surface,
What's that?
just one surface.
Yeah, yeah.
When the glue set up on the brush, would the glue set up on the brush and make it not,
Yeah, it would, yeah.
so you cut the end off, go away?
Yeah, the pallet knife, you can, if it dries on it, you can scrape it off pretty easily. This jig I made is just, the bottom part's a lazy Susan off of a cabinet, is what I got. But you want to get the one that's really tight. You don't want anything, you don't want any slop in anything. I mean, it's because it affects the spacings. So this here, this is 1/3 of this, whatever this distance here is, and I don't know exactly what they are, but that's how you get your spacing. And then in that book that we've got in the library, it's got a chart in there that will tell you if you want a 5-inch circle, you need to make the pieces this certain width, and then everything's always figured in for you. Okay, now I've got the first row on. Everybody asleep? No.
So you're saying the diameter of the circle determines the thickness of the pieces we use?
I'm sorry?
The diameter of the circle determines the thickness of the piece?
No. You can make the pieces any thickness you want. It determines the width of it.
Okay.
See, the next piece, the next row I'm going to put on is 5 inches. So these pieces have to be bigger, and I'm not going to put the whole row on. But so these are actually wider pieces than the ones beneath them. Okay, what do you do then? You raise up this arm, because this is adjustable, and it goes up and down. And then we go on the short lines. Of course, what those are, gotta move this out.
That thin piece
Somebody-
of metal you're adjusting is a stop?
Yeah, that's a stop, huh?
Push it back.
Okay, so what you do then is you measure from this to the stop, 2.5 inches. Of course, that's half of 5 inches, yeah.
First one was 2 1/4.
First one was
next
2
one was
1/4.
2 1/2.
Right, yeah. The first one was 4.5, yeah. Okay, now we're on the short lines, and like I said, I'm not gonna put the whole row on. But now what you do, this comes in real handy. You just put it on the edge. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you just put it on the edge is all you put it on, and then when you put it on there, hold it down, and then you get squeeze out on every one of these. So
As fast as that glue sets up, how do you keep your supply from drying up on you?
I don't put much on. I don't put much on mine. I've got a little piece of plexiglass I put it on, but yeah, I don't put much on it. Yeah, yeah.
They'll use the same wheel for the whole bowl.
Yep, yeah. You see, it's, well, if I had a calculator, I'd tell you, but this is 12 segment, it's 24 different, it's divided by 24. 360 degrees divided by 24. So every so many degrees, I don't know how many degrees it is, but there's a line. So what we done on this wheel, and he had I don't know how he done it, but he divided this wheel into 144 different pieces. And then he put circles at the end of these points. And then once he got all the circles put on there, he got rid of the, whatever that thing was. Oh, okay. So then the next row, I wanted 120 holes in it. So he put another, it looks like a star. And then he actually put holes at the end of each star, and they're perfect. I mean, I haven't done anything on it yet, but we'll see. Okay, any questions?
If you were making a solid piece, your angles would have to really be more accurate than what this is.
Exactly. That's my next step. That's what this is going to do. I'm going to cut pieces. I'm going to take, well, like the outside row will take 72 segments per row, and they got to be exact, because what you're doing, you're gluing a piece on, and then you're moving it so many degrees, and then the next piece you're shoving in there, and it can't push the other piece. I forgot to bring it. I've done a piece the other day that has 800 pieces in it. And it's a vase about this big. It's not very big. And it looks great, but the top row's only got 45 pieces in it. It's supposed to have 48. But you can't tell. But it's got to be, like I said, it's got to be exact.
That happened because your angle was a little off and it filled in?
No, my cutters, when I'm cutting these off, I was using one of these, and these aren't accurate. And I've got like I said, I've got a miter saw set up. I think it's going to be really accurate. But you know, if you cut a stack like this, and that blades off a little bit, the top of maybe a 1/4 inch, the bottom maybe an 1/8 inch. I mean, I'm exaggerating too, but if you know, some of these have got to be, well, you see on my sheet, 0.201, and to make one with make a closed segment bowl with an open segment, it's got to be, all them pieces got to be exact, because that's what will happen. It'll start growing on you, and that's what this done. When I got to the end, I didn't have room for 3 pieces. I only had room for 1. So, anyway, any other questions?
The whole design, you came up with all that?
No, Dennis Edwards.
Dennis Edwards?
Yeah.
Did he have,
I steal everything off of YouTube.
Did he have plans online for that?
Nope.
Kind of went off, eyeballed what he had there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Terry, the colors that you have you got those colored before you ever put them in? Because there's absolutely no way you could do it with one at a time, painting or staining.
Say that again?
Are you using different colored wood
Uh-huh.
to get the different colors?
Uh-huh.
You aren't using any stain or?
Right, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, this is all natural wood. It's maple, whinge, I don't know if I'm saying that right, it's W-E-N-G.
Wingate,
What is it?
Wingate.
Wingate? Okay. What he said. Yellow heart, and I think that's bloodwood. But yeah, that's all natural. Everybody, when they see this, they think, well, how do you stain that? Well, it's not stained, it's all natural colored wood.
So the blues in that, is that just?
That's turquoise.
Just a whole chunk of turquoise going?
No, it's powder.
Powder?
Yeah, and what I had to do, of course, there's holes in these rows. I had to put a piece of black veneer in there, glue it in to keep the turquoise from running out into the inside of the bowl. And then what I do is use super glue, and then you can actually, I mean, I'll build this up higher than the surface, and I've got carbon cutters, and you can actually turn that turquoise off, just like wood, so it doesn't hurt it. So
Where do you get the turquoise?
I went to Arizona this last winter and bought a ton of it because and I bought like a half-pound bag for $20, and I buy a lot of it from Craft Supply too if I want something different. This here has got the hummingbird here is green. I forget what stone that is, but then its neck is coral, which is red, and then the bill is black stone.
Is that malachite, the green?
That's it. Malachite. Yep. Okay, I'm going to turn the outside of this bowl just to show you. Okay, what I do is I start on one row at a time. You don't go the whole distance. Now you notice the wood coming off of there? It's not a big stream. It's like salt and pepper. Or make a different noise like it's gonna clip. I found out also it's better to get the top on it, and that holds everything together. It's surprisingly how strong this is, because actually each piece is good on all four sides. And that glue there is really strong. And before you get it turned, don't get your fingers anywhere around this because it's all square corners, and I've knocked I'm not gonna chunk out my finger one time. I have real blood with it.
Are you turning the new wood flush with the rim and base that you already had?
Yeah.
You just turn it flush?
Well, I got to work on the bottom. I'll cut it down some more. But yeah, I try to, pretty well flush. But, anyway, I'll send this back around so you can see.
How is that attached to the base? You just hot glue that on there, or is that using the,
What's that?
how is that attached to the base? Is that hot glued on, or is it
This based onto the.
onto the sacrificial part of it there?
Oh, I use Type Bond 3. Yeah. No, and I could usually turn stuff after an hour. Of course, I've done that too, and it come apart. Anyway, can anybody tell me what that is right there?
Arrow?
It's the deer inside. It's an arrow. Yeah. My wife's idea. I can't take credit for that. But,
Will you sand that then, Terry?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
brick, where you're starting
I'll go put it down to 400.
on the lid?
Yeah. But
Or
you
will
want
Start with,
80. Yeah. And I've got an orbital sander, a round sander, and I'll use it a lot to smooth up things.
Well, you turn that waste block off. What are you using to do that? Just
A parting tool.
well, man, how do you chuck it up? Do you long
Is jam chuck?
jam chuck, or
No,
one
no.
Ellsworth, one Ellsworth,
Oh,
the big one that collapses in?
oh, you mean to finish the bottom?
Yeah,
No, I just sand the bottom. Yeah, I
you just part it off and then sand it.
just sand it. Yeah, I'd like someone to tell me. And all my bottoms are smooth. I noticed Paul's has got little grooves in it. You just use a parting tool for that?
yeah, I'll come over, I'll show you.
Okay.
Reeves uses a pointing tool.
What's that?
A pointing tool.
What that is?
This is a 3.2.
3 point. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I'd like to dress up the bottom a little bit. But usually, people don't put their cereal in these, so and they're usually just displayed.
They use that to wash their strawberries?
No. Well, you can. Yeah, that's true. I looked up the definition of segment turning. It was using different colors, different kinds of wood to make a pattern. Well, this is the same way, but it leaks a lot. They leak. And anyway, a friend of mine, I told him I was going to get a wheel that I put 144 pieces in a row, and he goes, "Why in the world would you want that?" Well, this one I can put 12 colors, the other one I can put 144 colors, which, of course, is not that many. But the more pieces you put in, the more pattern you can get. 'Cause this piece here has got 60 pieces per row, and there's 39 rows. So, and you can tell, you can get a lot more pattern. Because there's 4 of these, there's 4 of them all the way around. And there's, pieces. So.
How long did it take to glue one of these up?
These here, I can watch a couple soap operas. No. I'd say probably about a half hour per row. This piece here took me an hour per row to glue on. Of course, there's 60 pieces in it. So, plus, I had to cut every piece, sand every piece. So I had about 100 hours in it. So.
Terry, how are you gonna get down to the bottom of this?
What's that?
How are you gonna get down to the
I
bottom?
don't know yet.
Huh?
I don't know. Very carefully. Yeah. When the sides are that sharp, it's hard to get. Now, when they're this way, well, here. Yeah. Anyway, when you're on the bottom cutting that off, you gotta be really careful that you won't get into the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
You have the little diamond shape tool.
I used a
Tool.
tool that's just a scraper with a point on it.
Okay.
Yeah. This one here, I got into the bottom a little bit. You can see, but you try to get that down to the bottom without getting into the bottom.
How do you transfer your design from that paper onto the wood? Because just because you're gluing rows together, it looks to me like you're not gonna have, you may have 3 pieces in one row, that's a different color.
Right.
Design.
Well, like this piece here, I got 4 colors. Yeah, 4 colors in it.
But not every row has a yellow one.
What's that?
Every row, let's say, would have a yellow one in it, okay?
Yeah.
But it's not going to be in the same place every.
No.
So
No.
how do you have
I'm
a design?
stepping them and making it swirl, kind of like a
Okay,
swirl.
on swirl, I can see it, but on some of these others, how are you doing? You've got a paper that you color.
Yeah.
How do you transfer that into the book? To know what piece goes in?
You just got to watch, when you're putting a row on, like, here. Like this piece here. That first row has got 4 blacks is all it's got in it.
Which is your first row?
Exactly.
Which you're looking at, you're all looking at it long ways. It's
Exactly, yeah.
laid
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, well, matter of fact, I even. Yeah, I actually put it together where I had 60 pieces. So, but yeah, I'm looking at this direction. So, like the next row has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 blacks in it, and you just keep going. You gotta watch.
You're counting the plain ones too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I'll count how many whites I got between the other colors. Yeah.
And I hope you don't have any left when you're done.
I had 3 left on this vase the other day. Yeah. Any more questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Terry.